There we go. Great. A few more people coming. Just another minute and we'll get started here. Just hang tight. Welcome, welcome. This is the GoldCare Insurance to Assurance class. This is where I go over uh, what health sharing is and how it pairs with GoldCare and how it will help members enhance their membership at GoldCare. So, and to start off, instead of having you guys wait to find out, but if the health share membership is only available to members ages 18 to 65th birthday. So at 65, of course, you would graduate and go over to Medicare. We're not here to disparage Medicare or give you any advice on whether you should join Medicare or not. And so you'll have to uh, consider that on your own. But as far as what this healthcare or health share does for members, it's only ages 18 to 65th birthday or 64, but at 65 you would graduate. So just so you're aware. But well, let's get started. So my name is Eric Baird, and I've been with GoldCare since it was a dream and now is a reality. And so it's been amazing to see the growth and the progress of GoldCare. I've worked alongside Dr. Simone Gold and in her efforts to provide better care options for members of the association. And so I've done health sharing for uh, now over about 6 years, more or less. It's been around. The idea has been around a lot longer than that, but I introduced it to Dr. Gold and I said, hey, look, this is something that you may want to consider for your members if they're going to be in the PMA and trying to get out of the insurance industrial complex, the insurance system. And this is a great alternative. And so then he put me to work and had me go through all the different health fairs that are out there. And I was able to narrow things down to just a couple of options. And then she reviewed those and then decided which one she wanted to join herself. And that is the one that we offer here at GoldCare. So we'll get started in this little presentation and I'll explain more about how it works, the nomenclature, and we'll get to later down the road to pricing and where you can enroll and all that fun stuff. And so I'm gonna open up the little chat box here. So if you have anything you want to share, you can type into the chat. I'm gonna put in my email address as well so that you have access to me anytime. And then you can even, send me a message. If you want to book a call with me or anything like that down the road, we can do that as well. This presentation also has a link, and I'm just going to throw that link in here as well. And so you can go ahead and click on that link at any time and continue through the process, or just keep it on your computer if you want to review it later. So to start off, so as you're familiar, you have GoldCare membership, and it's there to help, give you information, help you make informed, uncoerced choices about your health. You have access to providers, you have access to lots of educational resources that are available, med packs, all that fun stuff. And so that your membership is, the way I like to see it, is like a Costco membership in a sense where you now have access to all of this great information. If you want to participate in some of the other services, then there may be some additional costs associated with that, which is the case with HealthShare. HealthShare does have its own price structure and costs associated, and it would be paid directly to the HealthShare community. So like Costco, if you need glasses or you want to go to the pharmacy, all those things are separate costs, right? And so, but being a member of GoldCare, $10 a month, can't beat that. And then it gives you access to all of these great services or and information and content. So who can join a health share? And I kind of alluded to this a little bit at the beginning, but it really comes down to this. So it's available to individuals ages 18 to 64. Children can be added to their parent or guardian's membership. No health screenings are required, which is really nice. So they don't turn people away. They accept everybody. It's designed for individuals and families, also business owners. If you're a business owner and you're looking for a benefit to offer your employees, there are health share benefits that can be extended to employees. And then if the employee decides to leave the organization, they can take it with them. And there's no minimums to participate like insurances, which is really nice. So what is HealthShare, right? So it's a smarter approach to managing medical costs, right? And why is that? So, this is community driven. As you know, it's a you're joining a community, an organization of people who are contributing monthly to a fund basically, and then that fund is being distributed amongst the members who have medical needs as they arise, right? So members support each other through those medical sharing dollars. Of course, it's built on principles of wellness, integrity, and accountability, which is why it pairs really well with GoldCare because GoldCare is there to help maintain wellness and improve health and wellness. Integrity and accountability, of course, come from more of an innate gospel-centered living, that type of moray or morals. And so we're not tied to any particular religious organization or faith, but we do have a high standard and we do hold ourselves accountable to a higher power, which is nice. It is a nonprofit organization. And as I mentioned, members voluntarily share medical expenses and those medical expenses. And it is open to all faiths, right, as I mentioned as well. Now, it's important to know what HealthShare is not so that we can talk about what it really is, right? And so it's not an insurance company. It's not a new kind of insurance company either. It's its own entity, right? It's not legally, and it's typically nonprofit organizations, right? But it's its own structure. It's not legally obligated to pay. So there's no contractual agreement between the member or the group and the health share. If there were, it would be insurance. And we're doing everything we can to not be insurance. And so there's no legal agreements between the parties. It's voluntary community sharing, right? There's no contractual guarantee to pay on behalf, from the health share's perspective. And because if it was, it would be insurance, right? It would be an insurance. And if it was insurance, rates would be double and all of the fees and everything would just cost more. It would just cost more. It would look like insurance. But HealthShare has a strong track record of meeting members' medical needs, right? And paying for those medical needs. And there is a process in place. You submit a medical need request, it gets reviewed by one of our team members, and then they share those dollars towards those medical bills. It's also not ACA, which is Affordable Care Act, right? That's Obamacare. It's not ACA compliant by itself. It's not meant to replace or to meet those requirements. It doesn't meet federal or state requirements. If you live in a state where they still mandate the ACA or the Affordable Care Act or health insurance, then it does not meet that requirement by itself. There are some things you can do if you're a business owner and you have multiple employees and you want to do that. There are things that we can do to that we can add on to a health share to make it work, but by itself, it's just not. Also, it's not tax deductible, so any contribution you make, even though it's a nonprofit organization, is not considered a not a deduction like a taxable deduction, a write-off donation. So because you're a member and it's earmarked towards you, so it's not going to fit a traditional like donation type scenario. So when you pair HealthShare with GoldCare, what does that look like? So GoldCare becomes your provider where they can support you with your everyday needs. You can get routine care, checkups, labs, things like that through the GoldCare portion, right? Piece of the puzzle, almost like the illustration here. And then HealthShare steps in when major unexpected needs come up, right? So if you have something that all of a sudden costs, for example, somebody contacted me recently and said, "Hey, yeah, I went through he had a bleeding ulcer, right? And so he's immediately needed to go into the hospital and get that thing cauterized and staying in the hospital a few days. That kind of situation, right? That's an immediate situation where it's like life threatening, right? So you need to get into the doctor, you need to take care of that. And then afterwards, you would take those bills. I mean, obviously, you would present yourself as cash pay because you don't have insurance, right? It's not an insurance type of scenario, but you present yourself cash pay, self pay. I say self-insured. I like to say self-insured because it sounds a little bit more confident. But you have the tools you need to be able to make it work. Anyway, so the combination between the health share and the gold care gives you that personalized care, that the two pieces of the puzzle basically coming together to give you the complete solution. And there are other services that you can add on and participate in if you feel the need, like a telehealth or any of those other kind of services, even prescription sharing services. Um, and so that's all available. But to really understand HealthShare, we need to talk terminology. So I'm going to use some of these words on the left-hand column that really speak to what the HealthShare does, right? And the translation is on the right-hand side with the insurance term. I think we're ingrained with insurance terms like premiums and deductibles and pre-existing conditions and things like that. Where on the HealthShare side, all of those things still exist. All of those type of scenarios exist, but we can't sound like insurance, so we need to come up with a different term. So we have health share memberships, right? But instead of a premium, it's a monthly contribution because you're contributing to a nonprofit. Initial unshareable amount is like a deductible in the sense that that's the amount that you would pay out of pocket before the health share kicks in on a medical need. So now it's not a traditional deductible where it's over a 12-month period. This is a per medical need amount that you would pay out of pocket. Sharing request is like a claim, medical share request, and then pre-membership condition is this condition existed prior to your membership at the health share. So pre-membership is how it works. Now, because you're part of GoldCare and I've been involved with them since the beginning, we have access to the essential membership, right? And it's only available to GoldCare members. And it's the foundational fund that is part of the health share. So the health share has the fund and then they have some ancillary services, but we've been able to take those ancillary services and pair them off, provide Gold Care as your ancillary service that you're going to use for, any type of need. And then we have the fund, which is the actual medical fund, the sharing fund from the health share. And that's the essential membership, right? Essential. Now they have a direct membership, which comes with all of those other bells and whistles, it costs just a little bit more, but we have access to the essential fund. And so the essential membership is what you're looking at as a Gold Care member. And then if you have any need for some of these other services, these ancillary services I mentioned, we have a preventive care ancillary service, we have a telehealth service, or what I call the virtual care coordination service. It does not replace Gold Care because these are doctors who you just random, whoever you get. Whereas Gold Care, they're tailored exactly, they've been vetted by Dr. Gold and and they have the same mindset, as Dr. Gold and our team, where they want to do freedom first and make sure you get what's best. These virtual care coordinations are more like, hey, I have a child with an earache and I need somebody to help get me a prescription tonight, right? Or something like that. And so it's a little different where you have to schedule out the other appointments at Gold Care and they're more in depth. And then also a prescription benefit program as well. And those are all add-ons. You can add them in if you want for a small fee, but generally you just need the health share fund and then you need the Gold Care membership. So key benefits of health share membership. Why do people choose to join a health share? Uh, Mostly because the costs are a lot lower. So it's lower monthly costs over traditional insurance. There's no annual or lifetime caps. That's another nice thing. So, if something is over a certain amount, like my sister, for example, she's already at $250,000 with the cancer treatment that she's been going through. and they don't stop at 250. They keep going until she's clear. And there's no cap, right? So that's really nice. And then fast turnaround time on eligible medical expenses. Typically, they'll pay the bill between 5 and 8 business days as long as they have all the right paperwork. And then access to the preventive services and or those other ancillary services that I mentioned as well. So how does it work? So member to member sharing process, right? So members contribute monthly. So I contribute monthly to the community through, through my bank account or through, uh, they do an ACH pool from my bank to pay for the membership. When a medical need arises, the member, so me, if I submit a medical need, I pay the initial unshareable amount. So that's the first initial part of a medical need. What does that look like? So um, that could be any service, medical service related to a medical need. So say if I have a knee issue and I decide I'm going to go see a specialist, then I pay for that specialist. And then he does an ultrasound, I pay for the ultrasound. If he does, any other kind of service, I would pay for those initial services up to the amount that I've agreed with the health share that I would pay, right? So I've agreed to the health share. I'm going to pay the first 1250, right? And so that's what my IUA would be. My initial unshareable amount is the first 1250. And it gets peanut buttered across whatever I want to do, right? Once I hit the 1250, then all those expenses beyond that amount are shared with the community. And that's when they step in. I take the bills, I submit it to the community. They pay the bills directly, or they help me pay those bills directly, right? So again, the IUA, it's replacing the deductible. It's based on the medical need. You can choose between three options. There's a 1250 option, there's a $2,500 option, and there's a $5,000 option. Now, the more that I'm willing to pay out of pocket, the lower my monthly contribution will be as well. So that's another thing to think about. It's paid once per medical event. For example, my knee, I pay that first 1250 peanut butter across whatever service, but I got to hang on to those receipts because I want to prove to the health share, hey, look, I did pay that first 1250. Any follow-ups or complications would be included in the medical need, right? So it just keeps going. And then what's really nice is that the health share says, hey, Eric, if you have more than three medical needs in a 12-month period, then if it's 4, 5, and 6, right? So the first three are my responsibility. 4, 5, and 6, the health share says, hey, look, Eric, you've already hit three. Don't worry. 4, 5, and 6 are fully shareable with the community as long as it's over a $500 threshold. And so in a sense, my max, if you consider max out of pocket, right? My max out of pocket would be three IUAs at the amount that I choose. So if I chose 1250, 3 times 1250 puts me at $3,750. That's what I need to make sure I have available to access to pay for these medical expenses, right? So that's how that would work. So what qualifies as a medical need, right? So maybe you've experienced some of these already yourself, but life-threatening emergencies, and I mentioned, bleeding ulcers, stroke, heart attack, trauma, injuries or accidents, broken bones, head trauma, any type of serious illness requiring specialists or hospitalizations or surgery. All follow-up care as well is included in that, scans, physical therapy, prescriptions. You have to be an active member, of course, in order to make to and pay your IUA in order to be eligible for medical sharing. So it's a month-to-month membership. There's no contractual agreement. You can join as long as you're paying each month, you are an active member. Some additional examples. So any type of emergency room event. So for example, the person I mentioned had a bleeding ulcer, right to the emergency room, right? That was an immediate thing. Hospitalization, ER, surgery, maternity care. We do help maternity. Maternity has its own rules. The minimum IUA or amount that you would pay out of pocket for a maternity is going to be $2,500. Even if you have the 1250, um, you would pay for a maternity the first 2,500. And also, you have to be a member of the health share at least 6 months before the health share will contribute towards your maternity medical needs. And so a lot of that's designed so people won't use it and leave us, right? We want people to come stay with the community, be part of the community. Um, Also, alternative therapies are shareable. We've done acupuncture, chiropractic. I've even heard of, hyperbaric chamber therapy, uh, preventive services like colorectal cancer screenings or mammograms, things like that. And then additional giving dollars are available for ineligible needs as well. So we have a secondary fund that is donated to by the HealthShare and by others. And that fund, basically, those resources are used toward people who have medical needs still that maybe they weren't eligible in the first year of membership, and so uh, they can ask for some support. We do have a really great medical advocacy team as well. So they can basically help you save more, stress less, helps members find affordable providers, assistance with billing and negotiations and bundled pricings. So if something looks, if you got a bill and it looked like it was rather you know, exorbitant is price, then, the house share kind of has an idea of what things generally cost. And so they'll come back to you and say, hey, can we talk to this doctor and see why their bill is, $10,000 more than the average? And so then they have some way to be able to negotiate or at least talk to the providers and help with that. And this service is available at no extra cost. So that's part of your membership. Pre-membership medical conditions. So this is important to know because sometimes people have things that already exist before they join, and they just need to understand like how does it work for those pre-existing or pre-membership conditions, right? It's typically something that's existed the 24 months prior. So they look at 24-month look back. Any sign, symptom, treatment, or medication you've taken related to that particular injury or ailment, right? That's basically the how they define a pre-membership condition. Now, in the first year, it's a 12-month waiting period. So it's a 12-month waiting period. That means $0 shared toward that medical expense. That means if you all of a sudden are like, hey, I want to do this surgery on my knee, and I know I'm a new member. It's something I had before joining. The health is going to come back and say, hey, great, we want to help you find the best price. We'll help you find a provider. We'll do all that, but we won't be able to share in the medical expenses related to it in this first year. Now, in year two, if you decide to defer and wait till year two, they'll share up to $25,000 towards that medical need. Year three, up to 50, and then year four, it hits 125, and it repeats that 125 every year after that. So and there are some exceptions to this pre-existing condition rule, and those exceptions are related to high blood pressure, as long as it's controlled, right? And then high cholesterol, maintaining that as well, and diabetes one and two. It does not pay for any of this, like um, any of this, what do you call it? I'm drawing a blank. Any of the stuff that you need to maintain it. So like insulin or any of the medications or anything, it doesn't pay for that. But as long as you're controlling it and maintaining it, if you have any issues related to this in the first year, it would be shareable with the community. It won't be considered a pre-existing condition, is what I'm getting at. So those are exceptions to the rule. And as long as you're maintaining it and you're controlling it, then you won't have any issues with that. Now, there are no lifetime sharing limits, as I mentioned, financial peace of mind without any cap. Once eligible, medical needs are shared at 100% after the IUA is met, right? No annual lifetime caps on how much the community can share. Membership is designed to support long-term, large-scale needs. For example, my sister, again, $250,000 for her cancer treatments. It's been over 2 years, and they're still supporting her in that effort. Um, Pre-membership conditions, of course, follow that clear phased-in period, that guideline of $0 in the first year, and then 25, 50, 125 each subsequent years, right? And our focus remains on sustainability and member care. So we want to take care of our members. Now, if you think, and that's really the presentation. Now, if you think you're ready to join a health share for your family or for, even for your business, then this is a good slide to have available to you. But you can click here to get started. This is where you would, join the membership. And it's very simple. You just log into the HealthShare and create a credential and so forth. But let's look at the membership pricing real quick. And this is just a little PDF. Let's see if it'll go through. Yeah, here it is. Great. So what is HealthShare.com is a website that I own. And then this is the essential membership monthly rates, right? So we're looking at the 1250 amount here. I'm in this age category here. And so for my family of six, it would be 544 a month, right? And so if you are an individual and you're in the 50 to 64 age category, it's 298 a month. And that's for the 1250. But if you did the 2500, then it would be 236. If you did the 5000 IUA, it would be 165. So that's how low it'll get, 165 a month. Now, if you wanted to add any of these additional services, we have the preventive service here. We've got the Zion prescription program here, and we've got that virtual coordination care that I told you about here. There's some additional fees associated here as well that you just add this into the membership rate that you have up here. And this document is available to you through this presentation. So in the comments in the chat, I did put in a link that has it there, and then you can just jump into there and click on this membership pricing as well. And then of course, to start, you just click here to get started, and it takes you right to the HealthShare registration page. Our partner that we like to work with is Zion HealthShare, and they are based in southern Utah, near Zion National Park, hence the name. But it's been the top rated and fastest growing health share in the industry. But you go ahead and fill this information out, create your credentials. Once you sign in, I'll sign in here because I've got another dummy account. Once you sign in, then it lets you go through the process of selecting, the household information. You can add any members to the household, add your mailing address, of course. And then it goes through, I'll just get to the membership piece here. Then it gets here. So it'll have two membership types. It'll say direct membership here, essential membership here. Now you'll notice that the pricing does change here slightly. So direct membership's a little higher, essential membership's a little lower. So like I said, 160 for that age group. And so then you can add these services back in. So say you wanted the virtual care, you add that back in, and then you hit next, and it'll go through. You have to make sure you select though, select, and then you hit next, and then it tells you it goes to the continue to the agreements, and then the payment, and then the summary. And so we won't go all that way. This is just a dummy account, but it's very simple and easy. And you could even select your start date. So on that very first page, it says when you want it to start. It's the initial start date, they call it, and you can pick that there. But let's see. So anything else that I need to share with you today? Let's see if there's any other slides here. Of course, you can schedule a call with me as well through this PowerPoint presentation. And that's it. That's everything. That's everything here. So if you wanted further details, we do have membership guidelines for the HealthShare. This is available to you. Just click here and it will open up a PDF document that shows how all of the details of the HealthShare work. And so you can actually go through here and pick through and get more familiar with everything there. So well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This is your chance. I'll be on here for just another minute or so. If there's nothing else, I've done a good job, I suppose, and I'll stop sharing my screen here. And then you guys can ask a question if you have one, or if not, we can depart. So very quick and easy, painless little presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.